You've probably been told that gluten is the reason for your bloating, your gut pain, and your unpredictable gut symptoms. But here's the twist. For most people with IBS, it's not actually gluten that's causing all of these issues. In this video, I'll break down what gluten really is, why it's unfairly blamed, and how to work out whether it's truly your trigger. Okay, so let's jump into it. What actually is gluten? Gluten is simply a protein that's found in wheat, rye, and barley. It's what makes dough stretchy, bread chewy. Now it's turned into one of the internet's greatest villains. Everyone loves posting on social media about how gluten is awful, it's the cause for every stomach issue they've had, and once they cut it out, their life was much better for it. Now, some of these people may be correct, as you'll find out later in the video. But first, I want to make the case for having gluten in your diet. So here's why you should have gluten. When you cut out gluten, you often lose foods that feed your gut microbiome. Things like whole grain fibers and resistant starches. Research has shown that these fibers help maintain a diverse microbiome. They support your gut lining and help reduce low-grade inflammation. It's also important to note that unless you have celiac disease, gluten isn't toxic or inflammatory. In fact, for most people, it's harmless and beneficial. So I just wanted to set that context before we throw gluten under the bus. Gluten does actually do some important work behind the scenes. Now you're probably thinking, yes, David, but if gluten is so great, then why do I get IBS symptoms from it? Let's say you eat bread or pasta and your IBS flares up because of it. It must be the gluten, right? Not necessarily. In most cases, if you have IBS, the real issue isn't actually gluten. It's the FODMAPs that come with it, particularly a carbohydrate group called fructans. Fructans are found in a wide array of different foods, such as wheat, garlic, and onions, and they're easily fermentable by gut bacteria. And that fermentation is the issue. It can stretch sensitive bowel walls, it can draw water into the gut, causing diarrhea, it can cause that signature IBS symptom of cramping and discomfort. So when someone says, oh, I cut out gluten and I feel much better for it, they didn't actually remove gluten, they removed the fructans that were causing them issues. And that's a really important distinction because there are certain foods that are fermented, and that's a really important distinction because there's a lot of foods that IBS sufferers can have that also contain gluten. So for example, soy sauce contains wheat, but the way that it's made means that it has a less of an impact on IBS. Another example is sourdough. It contains wheat, but the way that it's been fermented means that it's less likely to cause issues for IBS sufferers. And I know that it seems like such a small distinction, but if you're watching this video and you suffer with IBS or you know someone that suffers with IBS, the chances are that they cut out a ton of different foods. And having this knowledge means that you can start to bring in foods, even if you have an intolerance to fructans. It doesn't mean that you have to rule out wheat entirely. And that's why it's really important if you're suffering with IBS to look at the low FODMAP diet, because this would help you find which specific carbohydrate groups, because there's fructans, there's oligosaccharides, artificial sweeteners can cause issues with IBS, lactose can cause issues with IBS. There's so many different food groups that can, and so the low FODMAP diet helps you go onto an elimination diet, take out all these high FODMAP groups, we call them, which is the name of these carbohydrates, remove these fermentable carbohydrates for a period of a few weeks, and then slowly add things in. Add in wheat again. See if it causes issues. If it does, no worries. Test the different tolerance levels of the wheat. You might not be able to have a pizza, but you might be able to have a couple slices of toast. After that, bring lactose in. If you add it back in and you find that actually it doesn't cause any of your symptoms, that's great, and your diet is more diverse by having it in, and you've not cut it out for no reason. So overall, I would say that it's really important to differentiate gluten from a fructan intolerance. If you're finding that wheat causes issues, but then also onions and garlic, they're part of that same fructan group, so it's likely that you have an intolerance to that instead. That means that you then can have certain wheat products, you can have things like soy sauce, things like sourdough bread, and you're not removing so many foods, but just test it. Do an elimination diet for a few weeks, slowly add it back in over the course of a few days, starting with small amounts, then medium amounts, then large amounts. See what your rough tolerance level is, and then you will know for sure if fructans are really the issue. When you're doing the low FODMAP diet, it's really important you have the right support in place so that you essentially never have to do it again. I've helped hundreds of people manage their IBS symptoms. I offer free 15-minute appointments in the link below. So book an appointment and we can see if I can help you. And I wish you the absolute best in your digestive wellness.